Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into Honor the Land presented by FanDuel on Big Play Sports Network. I am Max Loeb. He is Chef Zay, and we are approaching the final preseason game of the 2025 NFL preseason for the Cleveland Browns at home against the Los Angeles Rams, 1 p.m. on Saturday. Zay, how excited are you for the preseason to be over?
Oh, I was going to say, I thought you were going to ask how excited am I for the game. I'd be like, not at all.
Yeah.
But the starters are playing, so
Yes.
There's a little bit of excitement, but obviously you got to take it with a grain of salt.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm a guy that can go over the top with it, but, other than that, season's right around the corner, so I'm feeling good. I know you're feeling good. You dropped your news, and you're all over the freaking map this year, dude.
A little too spread thin.
You
but
might
yes,
not.
it's going to be fun.
You're going to be tired.
Yeah, I am going to be tired. But week one, I will not be tired for that Bengals game. I can promise you that for sure.
You're going to need – well, don't you have like a Thursday night game before that coming in?
Yeah, I'm going to Thursday, Sunday, Monday, week one. Yeah, it's going to be crazy.
You're going to be running on fumes
very
by
lucky,
Monday.
very blessed to do it, but it's going to be insane.
Coffee sponsor? Can we
Yeah.
get one, please? My man need one. Like, what are we doing here?
I would take one. That's
it's a match
for sure.
made in heaven right now.
Yeah, really. But like you said, the starters are playing. A little bit of breaking news as we got into this episode. The starters will be likely playing 20 to 25 snaps. Shedeur Sanders seems like barring any setback will be playing. Isaiah Bond sounds like will be playing. And all veterans, that includes Joel Bitonio and Myles Garrett, will be active. I don't know if they're going to play, but what do you make of all of that news as it relates to the starters first?
I've been on record now for the past couple of days. I don't need to see these guys play. Like, we need to bubble wrap these guys. I get it. We don't have this high expectation to come out here and have a lot of wins this season. But I'm still in this camp where it's like I'm holding on to that Joe Flacco magic from 2023 because he is the best quarterback that we've seen in this offense. And I think it's going to be one of those things where the defense is as motivated as they've ever been. Myles Garrett sounds different than recent years. And not only does he sound different, he's moving different as well, too. So I think this is going to be one of those things where I want to just come out more than just okay. I want to be competitive. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I really don't want to risk them getting injured because if let's just say Joe Flacco gets bumped by a lineman, and now we're talking rookie week one.
Probably.
Or, David Njoku goes across the middle and something I'd rather not.
Yeah, it is definitely a risk management type thing. I'm with you in the sense that I think, truthfully, I do think starters should play. I think it's going to help. I also think the other side of the coin here, everything's leading up to week one. The Bengals have been super, super purposeful in playing their starters in the preseason because of the slow starts that they've gotten off to. I don't know if that played a part in Stefanski's decision-making. Honestly, probably not. But it is worth noting that the Bengals are likely going to be firing on all cylinders when week one starts. Offensively, I have a lot more trust. I know this is going to sound crazy, but I have a lot more trust in Joe Flacco than I do with all of the moving parts on the defense right now. Obviously, you have DB injuries to Martin Emerson. Cam Mitchell has struggled in the preseason. The defensive line should be good, but again, if Myles Garrett doesn't play, you still got to see how those guys operate for the 10-ish snaps that he will not be on the field every game. Carson Schwarzenegger has looked great, but now we have more news with Nathaniel Watson being done for the year. Winston Reed, who's going to step up? Devin Bush, is he going to step up? Is Jerome Baker going to play Mike and move Schwarzenegger over? Is Baker going to shift to the outside? There's so many different aspects of this. I just can't feel confident with all these moving pieces on the chessboard being like, yep, that's that elite defense, at least week one. And I think it'll expedite the process. Even if it's 15 snaps of just pure communication with another offense that's actually trying to run real plays they haven't really seen before, I think that's where the benefits come in. Offensively, I trust Joe Flacco. I really do.
This is going to come down to one of those things. I'm so confident in our defense. I get there's pieces there, but the core guys, the ones that you need to be there, are going to be there. And if our defense can get a lead, this is going to be one of those things where, in prior years, you're defer to the second half type thing. I'm looking at every week, and if we win that toss, Kevin Stefanski should just be like, you know what, give us the ball.
Yeah, I like
let's
that.
go out here, let's get this lead, and let's let Myles Garrett and these guys get a jump start from the gate. Because if you do that, we saw how much fun that defense was having in 2023, and a lot of that came when we got leads. And Kevin Stefanski can script any, the first 10 plays or so better than anyone. So if you can get one of those 8-minute drives to start out every single week, you're going to put yourself way ahead, and it's going to let this defense be able to put their ears back and go.
Absolutely. It's a little page out of Dan Campbell's book.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing him do that a bunch. I wonder if Ben Johnson will
Get
do it this year.
aggressive.
Yeah, exactly. And some teams play better from in front. Some coaches lean into that. Some don't. You mentioned the cornerstone piece. Another guy we got to talk about, Denzel Ward. Shoulder injury. I don't think he's going to be out there this Saturday. Week 1, I mean, no real news along those lines, but it seems like it's a day-to-day, a mild thing. So fingers crossed. Obviously, it seems like week 1 is not in serious jeopardy right now. Again, we wait to see closer to week 1. Cedric Tillman with an injury again, seems like a more minor thing. And then kind of the big elephant in the room with the roster construction right now as you cut down to 53. I think 5 days from now, it's Quinshon Judkins. It's a super tough running back room right now to figure out what they do. All this breaking news about the Browns being one of the teams that have inquired about trading for running back as well. We'll get into that in a little bit, but immediate reaction to Quinshon Judkins still not being signed.
It's turning into a mess, low key, and I think it poses an even bigger thing. It's like there's a clear vision that they have with what they want to do with the running back room, and my thing is, why can't you figure it out and you need to go get someone else when you have 4 running backs on the roster right now? Well, 3, if you put in Q, make it 4. But Marshall showed flashes. Why not give him a shot? Or like, you're telling me there's a guy you got 3 other running backs and none of them you feel comfortable with leaning into that workload with? Like, Pierre Strong can't do that. Obviously, Jerome Ford's more of a home run hitter. Dylan Sampson, you're probably going to look in the same retrospect of that. But I just don't understand where you have the receiver question already with who's going to make that cut. You have 4 quarterbacks on this roster. Yeah. You have 4 running backs on this roster. Why are you trying to add another one? Like, there's already enough pieces that you are trying to figure out who's not going to make the roster.
Yeah, it's really, really tough. I mean, it has to be, like we talked about before the show, there's one of 2 avenues this trade inquiry thing is with the Browns and the running backs. It's we're terrified about the Quinshon Judkins stuff, and we are actually leaning into it. Like, we want to make sure we put a good product on the field week 1 in the run game. Or, like you said, it's the ultimate leverage move, which I do think is a real thing because we don't really know what goes on in these negotiations with Andrew Berry, the front office, and then Quinshon Judkins and his representation. But I'd venture to guess because of a lot of the offseason issues with guys like Shamar Stewart, other second-round picks who waited to get their contracts, it probably has to do with guaranteed money. That's probably what's going on. And because of everything that's happened, I think both sides would agree, a valid conversation. But if it's a leverage thing, we're like, look, we're fine moving on. That is insane. As a second-round pick, to just have that happen, it's nuts.
It's even more insane because what you thought, like I was in that camp when we talked about a few weeks, during the draft time of how big of a home run that this could be to turn the second overall pick into a potential the best defensive tackle in the draft and arguably one of the best running backs in the draft. You lose out on that running back thing. You already are hearing the stuff with Travis Hunter. Like, it's just one of those things where it's like it could be just as worse, if not, that you wanted it to be good. So it's got to be one of those things where we monitor. I'm hoping that this thing doesn't stretch into the season, but the Browns have to know something that we don't, because you bring in Isaiah Bond, you put him through a polygraph test. Did Judkins go through a polygraph test? Like, why? What are we doing here? Like, I just don't understand it. You give a guy guaranteed money after all of the legal stuff. This guy cleared his legal stuff. What's the holdup?
Yep. There's got to be something. We're going to talk a little bit more about the running back room as well as those potential targets that I've named and have been thrown around in the news up next on Honor the Land on Big Play Sports Network. Welcome back into Honor the Land on Big Play Sports Network. I am Max Loeb. He is Chef Say. Want to talk about this running back room? I want to do a little fill in the blank with you because there's been a lot of speculation just about the running back room in general, who makes the roster, and there are some guys we have in mind, but I want you to fill in the blank. The first snap of 2025, Joe Flacco will be handing the football off to
Jerome Ford.
Okay.
No, this is why I'm just so confused, like, why we are forgetting what Jerome Ford is at least capable of. If you're telling me that you're playing this leverage game, that means that you at least see a future where Judd is going to be back, right? So you're telling me Jerome Ford, Dylan Sampson, and Pierre Strong can't lead the way? You're telling me Jerome Ford, a guy who has been behind center with Joe Flacco and this offense that was putting up 25 points per game and averaging over 300 yards per game, can't be serviceable in this backfield. I'm not asking him to go carry the ball 20 plus times, but I'm still a Jerome Ford guy. Give the guy a chance to. I mean, he took a pay cut too to be here, so let him go out there and prove it. So Jerome Ford is gonna peel one off for 40 yards on the first run
against that Bengals defense.
That terrible.
Did you watch them against the Commanders on Monday night?
I did not.
Whoo, man!
I heard it was bad though.
Oh, it was really bad, and I don't know who was out there starter wise for the Commanders and how that played a part, but it was pretty bad. And this is the Commanders team that just put Brian Robinson Jr. on the trade block, but a shopping Brian Robinson Jr. I was really thinking about saying somebody like Kenneth Walker. I really was.
That would have been
but
crazy.
No.
What's the odds on FanDuel?
However, yeah, you got to look it up. But I'm going to go Dylan Sampson. I think it's Dylan Sampson. I think you get a tricky formation coming out right away. You think it's a shotgun pass and a little draw to Dylan Sampson.
You know what? Changing my answer.
No.
It's going to be a reverse sweep to Isaiah Bond.
Ooh. Wow.
Everything that we wanted with Anthony Schwartz, Isaiah Bond is going to fulfill that at least times a half. So, like, I'm not going to sit here and say we're going to overly hype Isaiah Bond. But knowing what Kevin Stefanski likes to do and how he likes to get tricky, I could very easily see that formation where they got the wing back right here. They've got a motion guy coming around. They're going to fake the run to Jerome Ford and give a little toss to Isaiah Bond for a wraparound. Like, it's got Kevin Stefanski written all over it.
It does have Kevin Stefanski written all over it. I'm not denying that. But it is interesting. I think right now, looking at week one, pretty confidently you can be like, Quinshon Judkins probably not going to be out there.
For sure.
But we got to look past that at the end of the day, I guess. So I want to ask, do you think there's a chance Quinshon Judkins just misses all of 2025?
I do. I think here's the thing, though. It's just weird because the only reason why I say that is had he already signed the contract and they were still waiting for the negotiations, I think he would play. I think he would.
Yeah,
I think he would play this year and then get suspended next year.
Oh, okay.
Kind of like how the Jordan Addison thing planned out.
Yeah,
NFL would just wait for the season to go through.
Yep.
But with him not having that contract signed, you kind of can't do that. Like, you're gonna waste a whole year. I don't know. I think there's a world where he's definitely misses all that, but that would mean the NFL would have suspended him, right? Is there a world where he's not suspended? It's just like, hey, we just didn't get the contract done.
Yeah. I think so.
Oh, wow. That would be, we talk about a catastrophe.
I don't know if it would be all year, but I think we could be pushing October, November, and the contract's not done for sure. I think that's a real possibility. I don't think it's more likely than the other side of this, which is they sign him and he's back. And like you said, the suspension and discipline comes
later.
Yeah, probably. I don't know, but probably next year. We wait to see that. But I don't.
Because isn't that what has been happening over the past couple of years? Who else was before that? There was another one where the investigation was Rashee Rice. Yeah. Rashee Rice played the entire season, and then they went.
When Rashee Rice's, I'm going to look up when Rashee Rice's incident was. I want to make sure we're right on the date with that.
And then I feel like there was another one a year before where it kind of was the same thing. So it's like,
no, yeah, March 30th, 2024. So it was before last season. Yeah,
right. So he played all last year and then got the suspension. So I mean, I think it's one of those things. I just think the contract not being signed is what puts a damper on that. Because had the contract been signed,
yeah, well, if the contract was signed,
playing.
He would be at least practicing. Yeah,
exactly.
I just wonder, are they still turning stones with the legal stuff? Are they waiting for the commissioner to say something? Because the NFL, I'm pretty sure, is still doing their own investigation. I think
the NFL must know something that we don't,
or the Browns know something we don't.
Why just polygraph them? Why do it for one and not the other?
Yeah, you brought that up last segment. It's like, why? What's the difference? Well, not what's the difference, but what is different in the process you're going through with these two people who have off-field things? Like, is there a difference, or is there something that we don't know? Again, as outside looking in people, that's the reality of this, guys. We're not in the building. That we just may not see or understand. I don't know, but you're right. The timing, it was so odd because we recorded last week and we were live. You guys saw when the Judkins news broke. Got off, finished the episode, legitimately got in our cars, and
it was broke.
I
thought it was a joke.
Too. I did too. We low-key thought. Well, we technically did get sent-held for a minute.
Right. Now I'm like, is this sent-held?
Isaiah Baum was like, I'm signing with the Browns, and Mary Kay Cat was like, wait a second. They're not just yet. We kind of knew it was going to happen, but yeah, I think it's so fascinating. Just the negotiation part of this contract because there's an entity that said Judkins, case is gone, we're not pursuing it. But it's such a serious situation to begin with. Then there's other, outside parties that are doing their own investigations and looking at this stuff that the Browns are like, we don't know if we can do this, either committing to him financially or just signing him again. We don't know a lot of this stuff, but I do think there's a world. I'd be shocked if there was a world he didn't play in all of 2025 solely because of the contract. I think there's a world he misses a month or two because of the contract, but I don't know about the entire season.
Do you think there'd be a sense of urgency in it depending on the record of the Browns?
Oh, I thought you were going to ask that. Yeah.
Yeah, so like if the Browns start out 3-1, they're probably going to want to get him back sooner rather than later, or if they start out 0-4, it's kind of one of those things where it's like, okay, do we prolong it? Like what needs to happen to get that sense of urgency up a little bit?
I think that takes a back seat to the legal stuff for sure. I do think the legal stuff is at the forefront of all of this. But, any team who is playing good football will do everything they can in, a practical sense to improve their roster and maintain them playing good football for sure. Because at the end of the day, that's those guys' jobs. Andrew Berry, the front office, they want to put the best product on the field, obviously. They do what they can, but I don't know if they would compromise their process in terms of bringing somebody back in after this stuff in order to do that. Again, I don't know because I think you could raise questions about it, but I don't know if they'd compromise the process.
This all boils down to one thing. Like, this whole conversation could have been way less had they just brought back Nick Chubb. Could you imagine had they just done that? We wouldn't even be sitting here worried about calling teams on the trade block, this and that. Like, isn't exactly what you described a few months ago exactly what the Browns are looking for right now as they pick up the phone? Like, we're not asking Nick Chubb to get the ball 19 times, average 5 yards a carry, and score 2 touchdowns. Like, bro, it's 3rd and 2. Go run the ball and get a first down.
Exactly.
Like, Nick Chubb can't do that. Like, it blows my mind, honestly.
Everything would have been at least emotionally easier if that was the case. Now, do they go about that signing if they're like, okay, we're going to bring Nick Chubb back, and they sign him before the draft? Do they still draft Judkins? Did they just draft Sampson? Did they just draft Judd? I don't know. There's a lot of questions there, but I want to finish by asking.
Would they have gotten Travion Henderson instead?
Maybe. That's also a part of this, who looks exceptional so far.
Yeah, he does.
But I want to finish by asking you, because the Browns, for better or for worse, are in trade talks to get a running back. They don't know who it is. I threw some names out there, but they are, according to Diana Rossini and some other good sources, one of the teams making the calls. I'll ask you, if the Browns did trade for a running back, again, who knows what it would take? Let's just say they brought somebody in. Is there anybody that gets you really excited to bring in?
Well, as I was looking at your tweet, if you guys want to go follow him on Max Loeb, Loeb's lead, on socials here, you do have one name that I think would be right up Andrew Berry's alley when you talk about ceiling, bang for your buck, and opportunity that presents itself. Breece Hall would be pretty much right. It would fit the bill perfectly. Number one, you're getting a guy who's got a chip on his shoulder, who wants to prove that he can carry the load. Number two, you're getting that the glimpses of what he could have been before that injury happened. And then in terms of the offense that he wants to run, I mean, you may not even have to use all your running backs as much if you got a guy like Breece Hall. So what that price tag would be the real question. Yeah. But if it's a guy like Breece Hall, I'd take a flyer.
Yeah, it's worth taking a flyer. I think the best player on the names I mentioned is Kenneth Walker. Kenneth Walker, to me, is unbelievable, but he is so injury prone, always has so many questions about that. You are taking a big inherent risk if you're trading for him, which is also part of the reason I don't know if Seattle would part ways with him. Like, if he's healthy, he's going to help the offense out, and they feel confident in delaying his workload a little bit because they have Zach Charbonnet. So I'm not convinced they'd even move him. Breece Hall would be a good one. I know Brian Robinson Jr. has been thrown around, but that, I don't know. The more I think about it, the more it makes sense. It's a compliment to a lot of the guys in the room. He definitely would not command the same price tag that Breece Hall would, Kenneth Walker, those guys. And I don't know. I think it's worth making a call. I think the Commanders are in a spot where they want to move off him more than other teams want to get him. But I do think it's worth making a call there, especially because I don't think that financial commitment would be as big as a lot of the other guys.
Is there any teams out there that has a running back that could potentially involve a trade with, one of the quarterbacks that we have?
Well, New Orleans, but I don't. They're also one of the teams. That's where my mind originally went. New Orleans, Alvin Kamara. They want to ship him off. I've talked about it all offseason. It makes a lot of sense for them. It made a lot of sense for them to do that in the offseason. They're one of the other teams trying to add a running back. So it's
right.
It's just that it's not going to happen. Yeah. That was where my mind immediately went.
Could you
Tennessee?
imagine?
Yeah, that'd be nuts.
Oh my gosh.
Tennessee is not super deep at running back right now. Tajay Spears is hurt too. So I can't think of any others off the top of my head that would drastically need a backup quarterback improvement. But who knows who's safe on this roster, Zay? I don't know.
This 53-man, I know Andrew Berry is probably having one of the tougher times looking at this 53-man and being like, who's going to be the odd guy out?
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be guys that they hope to bring back on the practice squad. But it's weird how we were, all last season we were talking about we need to add all of these guys on the offense and how, that's the main position of concern. It seems like the defensive side of the ball is
Slowly
pretty
but
much
surely,
wrapped up,
I'm
you know what I
telling you.
mean? But this offense, it's like, what are you doing at the three most important positions right now? Quarterback, running back, and receiver. Because right now you have a situation of guys with a lot of potential on the at the receiver spot. You have guys who flashed who actually look like they could be serviceable at the running back position. And then you have guys that are just certain guys within the locker room at the quarterback position, and Kenny Pickett, Dylan Gabriel, and so forth and so on. So he's probably, getting some gray hairs right now.
Definitely, and I think the rookies are playing a big part in that with the quarterback battle. But we are going to talk more about that rookie class up next on Honor the Land on Big Play Sports Network. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back into Honor Land on Big Play Sports Network. I am Max Loeb. He is Chef Zay. We want to take a few minutes to kind of put aside some time to reflect upon this draft class because I think it is fully complete now with the addition of Isaiah Bond. Obviously not a draft pick, but a guy the Browns had on their radar during the draft, talked to during the draft, and went undrafted for obvious reasons. Things clear. They sign him. So I do want to ask you, Zay, this draft class has the potential to dramatically affect the long-term Cleveland Browns. But in the short term, in 2025, which rookie steps in and has the biggest impact?
We already know the answer to this. Luke Kuechly Jr., Carson Schlesinger. I'm telling you now, we're going to talk about FanDuel futures. You want the best bang for your buck. I'm telling you.
Oh, no, don't. We'll see.
Defensive Rookie of the Year.
Okay.
Defensive Rookie of the Year. Carson Schlesinger is sitting at plus 3,000. We are going to look up every single week, and you are going to see Carson Schlesinger with double-digit tackles every single week. It's going to be I'm almost willing to stamp it. I'm just saying, y'all want to make a little bit of money? Carson Schlesinger, Rookie Defensive Player of the Year, plus 3,000. He's going to have the biggest impact from day one, and we're going to feel it against the Bengals.
Interesting. Okay. I thought about Carson Schlesinger, and I'm with you. I mean, he's a day one starter. He's going to have an impact. But I'm going to go with the guy who's going to allow him to play free in Mason Graham.
I knew you were going there.
Yeah.
He's plus 1,400 too, by the way.
Yeah. I just look. He won't. I don't think he'd win that award. It's just hard for interior defensive linemen to win that award.
He get 8 sacks. He gets it.
Yeah.
8 sacks. He'll get it. Get it done.
I mean, to be honest with you, I think Abdul Carter's just going to be that good that it's almost possible.
But if he let's just play the hypothetical that Mason Graham lives up to that pick, right? And he does go out and get 8, and he's bona fide in that conversation.
Yeah.
Is there a world where he could take it from Abdul because of the defensive tackle position?
It literally would depend on the stats. I think it'd depend on what Abdul Carter does. Also Travis Hunter. I mean, it's just low hanging fruit at this point.
Stat class.
Yeah, it is a stacked defensive class it's top heavy. I should say. I think it's top heavy, but there are some really good players. But yeah, I look at Mason Graham as a guy who's going to take up multiple gaps, will help you in the run game, and just as a force on the inside. I've talked about how important it is to make up for the loss of the guy who wore that same number last year in Dalvin Tomlinson. That is so much easier said than done, and I think we're all just very casually overlooking that departure because he was so good when he was here. But if there's anybody who's going to do it, it's your 5th overall pick in Mason Graham. And I go back to that 2023 Browns defense that was really good, and you look at the Martin Emerson breakout year. You look at Greg Newsome playing his role extremely well. You look at JOK being a force. But a lot of that does not happen without the defensive line's effect on the quarterback, which to me starts with Dalvin Tomlinson and obviously extends to guys like Myles Garrett and Zadarius Smith. But Dalvin Tomlinson is a huge loss. Mason Graham will be able to make up for him. And I think in 2025, that's the guy who you feel his presence on the field as it relates to his teammates the most, I think. I think everybody will see Carson Swessinger making these highlight plays, but a lot of people will not see the lanes that are opened up for him through Mason Graham.
You know what? I'm going to take another avenue, too, because I think there's a factor that we're not really keying in. David Njoku is good to miss a game or two, always, right? Harold Fanta is going to have a real opportunity. I think we're really – it's funny because for a guy that you mentioned was – literally the consensus one guy that everyone in Ohio wanted, seems to be the least talked about in terms of, the players that we have on the roster right now. And knowing what Kevin Stefanski likes to do, if we can see Harrison Bryant take QB sneak snaps, what do you think we're gonna see with Harold Fanta?
So hopefully not that.
I think he can have a real opportunity to have an impact here. And we had that chalk talk, and we kind of got a glimpse of seeing what it could be. So. On the defensive side of the ball, well, I'll go Carson, and on the offensive side of the ball, I'll take Harold Fanta. What about you? You gonna go Harold or you gonna go Dylan?
No,
or Q?
No, I won't go Quinshon Judkins. I'm not gonna do that. But I honestly do think, and this is kind of our next talking point here, if Isaiah Bond steps in, that's the true take the top off deep threat that you've been looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Like dating back a couple years, Marquise Goodwin.
Yep.
We were like, okay, this is a guy who can take the top off. There are multiple opportunities. Didn't capitalize on a lot of things, right?
Jacoby just couldn't get that thing out there far enough.
Jacoby, Deshaun, it didn't matter who it was. It didn't work. And sometimes that happens. I look back last year, and there were a lot of question marks just about throwing the football down the field in general. A guy that they tried to get a little bit more involved down the field was Elijah Moore. And if he was in the slot, it was Jerry Jeudy. And I don't know if that's truly their games. I think Jerry Judy's a technician who'll beat you one-on-one. And if his one-on-one route is down the field, he's going to win on that. But I don't think he's a guy that you're literally inserting to clear out safeties. Isaiah Bond is. And eventually a coverage is going to bust, and he's going to have a long touchdown. Eventually people are going to bite down on him, and a dig is going to come right underneath that linebacker in Tampa 2, or whoever it may be in the man. Like, Isaiah Bond, to me, if he plays, is a game-changing talent. How they use him, we wait to see. The Anthony Schwartz thing is kind of in the forefront of my head too. But I think Isaiah Bond in a perfect world comes in and is the Isaiah Bond that was at really Alabama, but Texas too. He is going to play a part in this offense that I don't think people are ready for.
You know who Isaiah Bond could flash like? You talk about game-changing player. You're not talking about him being a superstar talent, right? But a guy that Joe Flacco threw some touchdowns to him and threw some big touchdowns to. I know where this is going. Jacoby Jones.
Yeah, rest in peace.
I mean, rest in peace. Like, you talk about a guy, like we mentioned, Deshaun and Jacoby couldn't get that ball out there far enough for Marquise Goodwin to go use his track star speed. Everything that we've heard a lot of things in camp. The one thing that everybody agreed on, Joe Flacco being old, and he could still throw the deep ball.
Yeah, he still can.
So I can just picture it now where it's like, and again, this is giving Kevin Stefanski a little bit of credit where people don't like to give him credit is, I can just see him scheming up something and just seeing Isaiah Bond just flying down the sideline, and Joe Flacco's just like,
yep,
Isaiah Bond's down there somewhere. Yeah. Just go get it. You know what I mean? Like, we're talking about Tyreek Hill. Bond's down there somewhere. He'll bail me out.
Gosh. I mean,
get your NIL deal, Bond.
Exactly, yeah. The
right.
The very interesting part of this too is, let's just say Isaiah Bond is good, right? Mm-hmm. He's a talented player that's going to get snaps. Is he going to get the wide receiver 3 snaps over Jamari Thrash?
I think this is going to be one of those things where Kevin Stefanski's offense isn't one of those things where I don't think Kevin Stefanski's offense operates best when you only have solely one guy dominate.
Yeah, that's fair.
Now, I know we've seen Amari Cooper dominate, right? We saw Jerry Jeudy kind of dominate last year and be that guy. But when you go back to that 2023, Jerome Ford was eating. David Njoku was eaten. Elijah Moore was eaten. Amari Cooper was eaten. Like, everybody was. Whitehurst was eaten.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Like, Aikens was eaten.
Yeah.
Everybody was getting a piece of the pie. David Bell had 2 touchdowns. This is one of those things where it's the same situation, and I think Jamari Thrash may be the guy this week. But next week, Isaiah Bond scheme's better against this team, and
Yeah.
he could be the guy. I don't think it's going to be one of those things where you look at it on the depth chart and be like, yeah, he's above Isaiah Bond. It's going to be one of those things where you look and be like, what's the matchup all for us?
That is always a good sign, or always a sign of a good offense. I go back to the Patriots. You never knew who it was going to be that week outside
Chris
of Gronk.
Hogan,
Yeah, Chris Hogan, Amendola, the running back. Like, you just never knew.
Deion Lewis, Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah, James White was huge.
James White,
too.
that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, you just never knew. I think that's the sign of a good coaching staff if they can do that effectively, for sure. But yeah, you're right. I mean, it's always been by committee. I also think there's just worlds where it's going to be 2 tight ends out there. If you draft Harold Fan Jr., that's it's going to happen. But I am very fascinated to see how that goes. I do want to, obviously, if we're talking rookies, you got to talk quarterbacks here. Just a pulse check right now with, I don't even know.
Check. Let me check my watch.
Actually, today's Thursday, so exactly 2 weeks from today, first game of the year. Percent chance we see Shedeur Sanders before Dylan Gabriel in 2025.
Oh,
I'm going to go like 20. I think 20. I think in 4 out of 5 worlds this situation unfolds, Gabriel's not good and Shedeur Sanders is just that good that everybody's like, you know what? We'll eat it right now. We were wrong. Shedeur can play over him.
but that's the only part that scares me in all of this is like, what if they genuinely really love Dylan Gabriel? If you really love Dylan Gabriel, like you're putting so much on the line with this Dylan Gabriel thing, and that's what I think people aren't really putting into this whole perspective. It's like, sure, it's just another 3rd round pick. No, it's kind of not.
It's definitely not.
Like, this is a guy that they wanted badly. And if you're going to throw him into the fire before Shedeur Sanders, you have set the time bomb. It's not about when is it going to blow. No, it's going to blow either at week 1, week 2, or week 3. Like, it's going to come a point in time where he's either going to have to exceed the expectation or the noise is going to be too loud. It's going to be a nightmare, and you're going to have to play Shedeur Sanders. So if you get to that point, you better pray that Dylan Gabriel is ready, because if he comes out here and stinks it up in the first week and then comes out again and stinks it up again, that seat is now boiling hot.
Yeah, it is.
And you have to play Shedeur. And now, what does that say about your evaluation? What does that say about your process of looking at quarterbacks? We've got 2 first-round picks next year, and you told me that this was your guy. You told me Kenny Pickett was your guy, and neither one of them played well. Oh yeah, this is huge. So, what percentage chance? I think Dylan Gabriel has to have the nod before Shedeur Sanders 100% because of the evaluation thing. Like, you cannot be wrong in this.
You don't think there's a world where Shedeur plays before him?
I don't think they can allow it.
Okay.
Like, it just doesn't look right. A guy that you didn't want is gonna go over a guy that you desperately wanted. Like,
it's a great way to put it.
It don't look good.
You're right. That is a great way to put it. And I think the reality is now the Browns gotta stink to start the season in order for that to happen. Tough schedule.
And I don't want that.
But nobody wants that. But you look at the win total, which we're gonna talk about up next, 4.5. Like, looking at the schedule, how this could play out, we're gonna see a rookie. We're gonna see 2. You think we're gonna see 2?
I think we're gonna see both. I think it's gonna happen. We're gonna see 3 quarterbacks this year.
At least.
You want to talk about history? History shows Kevin Stefanski's offense goes through quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Every time, every year, except 2020 and 2021. I think we saw multiple quarterbacks every single year.
Yeah, it's a good point. We will get more into the quarterbacks, but like I said, we got to talk win totals. We got to talk Browns, Bengals, Ravens, and Steelers up next on Honor the Land on Big Play Sports Network. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back into Honor Land, presented by FanDuel on Big Play Sports Network. I am Max Loeb. He is Chef Zay. And on Tuesday, August 26th, it is FanDuel Futures Day. New holiday for football fans. It's 24 hours of deals on all your favorite football season predictions. So take a flyer on the MVP race. I'm on Josh Allen. I know Zay is on Joe Burrow. Crown your champion in August. I know we both like the Buffalo Bills. Or parlay your division winner dark horses. Mark your calendars. This is your day for your hunches, your hot takes, your calls, and your odds. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your futures bets now, because Futures Day is one day and one day only. FanDuel, play your game. Must be 21 plus and present in select states. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit FanDuel.com/RG. We are here to talk some AFC North win total futures. And, we like to keep positive on the show usually, but I want to put a little negative spin on this because we're going to talk about the other AFC North opponents. I feel like we have to. I want to ask you, Zay, if there's one AFC North team that's going to fall flat on their face this year, who is it?
Man, the Cleveland Steelers fans are gonna hate me because it's the Steelers.
No, really.
It's the Steelers. It's the Steelers. I keep telling you guys that, like, if anybody knows what it looks like for a team to start going down the path of destruction, it's Browns fans. And the Steelers are mimicking exactly what we have been doing. You talk about the hope that they have in players that they have no business having hope in. You talk about having won or had any success in terms of playoffs in over a decade. Their quarterback jersey list is getting just as long. I know it's not quite there yet, but since Ben Roethlisberger been gone, y'all been going through quarterbacks like we've been going through draws. So it just feels like it's only a matter of time before we look up and say, oh my goodness, the Steelers are 4-12.
So
13.
That would be Mike Tomlin's first losing season, and oddly enough, the line right now, I'm telling you, they're sentenced to 9-8 for eternity. But the line right now is 8.5. So you don't think they reach that?
Under.
Wow.
Give me the under this year.
I know you hate when I say this, but I think that team that falls flat on their face is Cincy. Joe Burrow's unbelievable. I looked it up, actually made a video about it. If there's somebody who's going to win MVP without their team making the playoffs, it would be the third time it's happened in NFL history. It would be Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals this year. But the Bengals are predicted to win 10 games. Or 9.5, but 10 games. Like, I don't know how you sit here and rationalize that with a defense that doesn't have Trey Hendrickson right now. A defense that looked absolutely abysmal in the preseason. And people very, very casually overlooking, this offensive line is beat up. They are beat up. Like, the Browns, I think, will have a field day week one in terms of getting after Joe Burrow.
But see, that's never stopped Joe Burrow from throwing for 5,000 yards.
Sure,
yeah. Like, here's my thing, though. How many more teams are going to be scoring? There's 6 more teams that average more points per game than the Bengals last year. How many more teams are just putting up 30 points per game? Like, I get where you're coming from. Like, the defense is going to play a huge role. But our offense is going to be able to keep up with Joe Burrow.
You look at what the Steelers did last year against them. They did, and that was a pitiful offense. I shouldn't say pitiful. It wasn't great.
But that's one. That we're talking about one game here. They were going through a lot of eternal stuff last year too, though. You know what I mean?
Well,
I think this year they've got their players' contracts. T. Higgins should be back. You shouldn't be having any minor injuries that keeps him out multiple weeks. Like, I think it's just going to be hard for this team to lose when they're putting up 30 points a game.
But the thing is, that happened last year. They did lose. And again, they finished, I think, 9-8 last year, if I'm not mistaken. But they also lost one of the longest tenured defensive coordinators in the NFL, in Lou Anarumo. Like, to me, there's just so many negative things. And look, anytime you have Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins on your team, you got a fighting chance. It's a good fighting chance. But there's way more negatives to this team than people give him credit for. I think Joe Burrow is this beautiful mask that covers the negative, ugly things about this Bengals team. And I don't want to get ahead of myself. I don't want to make it seem like I'm talking mess before week one. But I don't see the complete football team there. And you know what? If they wind up winning 10, 11 games, I think it's going to tell you a lot about the whole wins are not a quarterback stat argument. Because I can almost promise you if they're winning that many games, it is nearly solely responsible by one person.
That one person is?
Joe Burrow.
Oh, I was going to say, because, it kind of feels like you're comparing the Bengals team to a team that we saw win a lot of Super Bowls. I go back to this era, and you're a little bit younger than me, but you probably remember there was a stigma around the Patriots. And it was right around the time, I believe, that was after his ACL injury, right? Where it was, well, this team isn't going to go too far. Joe Burrow's got, like, there was always that stigma. They hadn't quite built that. Obviously, they had won Super Bowl, so they were still champions, but they weren't that powerhouse dynasty. No matter what you look up, Patriots are going to win. There was speculation that they should fall off, but because they had the quarterback position, it made everything go, and it elevated everybody. There was a year where they went through, I think it was the year they went 18-0, or the Super Bowl year they had like 6 different rotations in their offensive line. Like, I just think it's one of those things where as long as the defense is anywhere from 15 to 20, it's going to be hard to beat this team.
See, I don't like that comparison because you had the greatest defensive mind in football history on your team with some incredible defenses.
Obviously, there's differences.
Hall of Fame defensive players, and really the only year that it was a difficult task, I think, for the defense was the year against Philly. I know they gave up a lot of points to the Falcons, but that Falcons offense was one of the best we've ever seen. That game against Philly is really the only time that defense didn't show up on the biggest stage. And I don't know. I find it so hard to believe. Like, there's a lot of obviously differences in that comparison, but that's not a serviceable defense on the other side, especially without Trey Hendrickson. That is a liability. It's a liability.
And that's what I asked one of my co-hosts on the AFC North Roundtable, where we were talking about. I was like, how much of a difference maker in the win total or in your defense if you don't have Trey Hendrickson? Because obviously, if this trade thing goes down, like, you would think that their window of opportunity, you want to do everything you can to at least give Joe Burrow that opportunity.
Yeah.
And Trey Hendrickson on your team makes your team better. Like, how much of a factor is it if you're going into the season and you're like, you know what, we just don't have Trey? Like, does that window close a little bit more, or does it kind of stay the same? Like, how much of a needle mover is Trey to that defense?
I think it's huge. I think you look at the edge rushers they have now, or really lack thereof, and there is no defensive difference maker right now on this team. There's no defensive difference maker. Every team that has a serviceable defense either has consistent talent really on all three levels or a defensive difference maker. I don't think they have either. And I think you look at this Bengals team that, again, at the end of last year, you remember that game against Pittsburgh. I believe Hendrickson had 3.5 sacks. He wrecked that game. You're not going to get that this year if he doesn't play, of course. Obviously, there's trade speculations, contract, all this stuff. Like, he could play, and honestly, if he gets traded, they're going to get a defensive piece back. That's what's going to happen. But I don't know if I can confidently trust this team to win double-digit games. It's a lot. It's a lot of games.
As long as Joe Burrow's strapped up, I can see it. But they are Joe Burrow away from
the worst team in the
it wouldn't even be falling on their face. But hey, they were winning games with Jake Browning.
They were. Better defense, but they were. I do want to ask before we finish this segment, you have to pick one AFC North team who exceeds expectations in terms of their win total. Who is it?
Us. The Browns.
Okay.
100%. The 4.5 win total, it's the Arthur meme with the fist.
Yeah.
Like, I literally, it makes me cringe because I get it. Y'all don't want to respect Cleveland. We went 3-14 last. I get it. There's too much talent on this team. Everyone raves about Kevin Stefanski being 2-time coach of the year. He's too good of a coach. This is arguably the best draft that we've seen from Andrew Berry. There are too many things that are swaying in the Browns' favor for us to be like, you know what, Miles, thank you for coming back. Here's a 4-win season.
Yeah.
Like, it's not happening. If anything, we're gonna be in that 7-win. Like, my floor is 7 wins. If we can get to 7 wins, I can stomach through another year of Stefanski. I can stomach through another regime. Like, I can find ways to make it up. Mm-hmm. But if you're telling me, if we're sitting here 5 months from now, 6 months from now, and we're looking at a record of 3-14 or 4-12,
13,
4-13. That's what it is. Oh man, I don't think I could sit through a whole offseason of, well, we're gonna bring back Kevin Stefanski. We're gonna run this thing back again, and we're just gonna retool. Like, we've been retooling since 2023, brother. Like, I'm cool on that.
Yeah, I don't think there'll be a retooling. I'm with you, though. I think if there's a team who's going to just exceed the pure number, it's Cleveland, and then it's Pittsburgh. I'm sorry, it is. I think they are, again, they're an above 500 football team.
I think the Ravens are closer to falling on their face than the Steelers are to being at that win total.
Wow, that's nuts.
I think all of this is predicated on how good Aaron Rodgers is going to be with this. This is all going to ride on that. This is different than past years where you're like, we're going to stroll out Mason Rudolph. We're going to stroll out Justin Fields. We're going to stroll out Russell. We forget what Aaron Rodgers does to teams and the chemistry and how things are operate. It's different if you lose a couple weeks with a Mason Graham or a Russell Wilson. You lose a couple weeks with Aaron Rodgers and numbers aren't adding up and things start to go south, it can get messy over there in Pittsburgh.
It can. I think this is the best defense the Steelers have had in the past 5 years, though.
I don't give a damn.
Like, that to me, this is, I said it a couple weeks ago, and I'll finish by saying this. This Steelers roster has had so many questions at the quarterback position, the offensive line, wide receiver room, everywhere but the defense. Those questions, if you're a Steelers fan, you feel better about them. Anybody who's wildly confident in this offense is a little delusional, but you feel better about the offense. This defense is better than what you've had. It's better. which again, I don't get it. I'm not trying to sit here and gas up the Steelers, but I do think
It sounds like you're gassing up the Steelers.
I don't mean to
Max
do that.
is a Steelers fan. Lock it. Clip it. Breaking news.
Put me on the next Steelers pod.
Joe Patonio or is that the Mean Joe Green or whoever?
Look, they've been so good for that long, or so good. They've been above 500
See,
for
look at
so
this guy
long.
pumping them up.
They've been above 500 for so long for a reason. I don't think a roster that got better is the reason that they don't do it this year. But we will see. You could be right. We're going to move on to our next segment here on Honor the Land on Big Play Sports Network. Welcome back into Honor Land on Big Play Sports Network. I am Max Loeb. He is Chef Say. We are going to talk very briefly, as we always do, about the quarterback room. But I want to change things up a little bit. I want to put us in Andrew Berry's shoes, and I'm going to ask you this question, Zay. You're Andrew Berry. You have to choose from either taking 4 quarterbacks on your roster or taking an extra running back or receiver. Your choice. Which are you picking?
The extra running back and receiver. There's no point to having 4. You put yourself in this situation where you have to make a tough decision, which is stupid.
It is stupid. I'm with you.
But when you talk about the 4 quarterbacks, it'd be different if you're talking about Baker Mayfield, Houston, Deshaun Watson, Joe Flacco, and Shedeur Sanders. Like, it'd probably be a different conversation that you're having. But you're talking about a guy who was a former first-round pick who doesn't look like he's going to live up to the former first-round tag, a guy who's 40-plus, but he's the guy that's clearly best suited for the job. And then you have 2 rookies.
Yeah.
So if you can get rid of one of those guys, it's not going to hurt you to get rid of them. And there's an obvious choice. Like I said, if there was a 4 where it's not as much of an obvious choice, I think it would be harder. But Kenny Pickett just doesn't fit the bill right now. So I think the value, especially what you've seen from Gage LeVarden and Caden Davis, and you just signed Isaiah Bond, like, and the running back, like the injuries that have loomed around those positions, you got to be deep at that position.
I agree with you, but I want to play devil's advocate. I'll provide a scenario where the Browns start 4-2. The offense looks really good, or let's say the offense just looks like it did in 23, but the defense is balling. The defense is the elite defense we want it to be, expect it to be. Joe Flacco goes down, and Dylan Gabriel's up next. No. You said it 2 segments ago. You said it 2 segments ago.
I said it don't mean I don't want it.
Look. We all know the world that the Browns are in. Unless something happens, Dylan Gabriel probably going to go in before Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah.
You feel more comfortable with Dylan Gabriel or Kenny Pickett at 4-2, going to host the Miami Dolphins before them and the Patriots before a bye, where you can move to 6-2. You want to roll a rookie out there?
Do I want to roll a rookie out there? No, but if we're 4-2 and our opponent, you said it would be the Dolphins.
Miami. It'd be Miami.
I would feel comfortable seeing what we could do with him with the Dolphins. See, that would actually be, you know what? That's a great scenario that you put it in, because that might honestly be the best case scenario.
I think it is the best. Not Joe Flacco getting hurt, obviously, but like
for how this quarterback situation pans out, because you get to see Dylan Gabriel. You get to put Dylan Gabriel in a situation where he should thrive in, where he should look good in, especially if he's as hyped up as Kevin Stefanski and these guys make him out to be. He should be able to come in against Miami and make some plays, or at the very least keep the boat steady. And if he doesn't, you get that little window of opportunity, and then you get to see what Shedeur could do. And it plays right into the Week 14 where the Titans come into town, Cam versus thing. Like, the whole set, that might be best case scenario.
Wow. Okay. Well, I don't know how comfortable
let me just reiterate. It's Team Flacco. Fever cools down. Team Shedeur.
How realistic is it, though? That's the question.
How realistic is what? 4-2?
No, how realistic is it Dylan Gabriel before Shedeur?
I think that's I think you have to do that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, sorry. I meant how realistic is Shedeur over Dylan Gabriel? It's not realistic.
Oh, it's not realistic.
But, I mean, that's a great way to put it. If you want to make the transition, I think it'd be...
You know why it works, too? And sorry to cut you off, but just to add it, let's just say we do go 4-2 and Dylan goes 0-2 in the start. Shedeur has an opportunity to really solidify that position, because just think, he peels off enough wins and finds a way to take us to the playoffs.
Oh, there's no looking back.
You think they're not keeping him?
There's no looking back.
And now you're talking about 2 first-round picks that you don't have to waste on a quarterback who people are going to be highly sought after. You talk about leverage. You talk about a haul.
Yeah, that would be a haul, but also part of the haul is a guy who isn't even on the roster. So, you know.
If the Jacksonville Jaguars pick turns into a top 3 pick and Shedeur Sanders cashes on the lottery ticket, the Judd thing will look like,
Oh,
crumbs.
agreed. I almost think even if the Jaguars are solid and Shador or Dylan Gabriel, just either rookie quarterback is good, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
I shouldn't say it doesn't matter. It matters, but it will not be looked at super seriously.
Because you're going to get, that pick is going to be worth a king's ransom next
Yes,
year.
absolutely. Absolutely. And I think it's better to have confidence in a quarterback than a top 3 pick, but at the same time, they're not mutually, or they are mutually exclusive, excuse me. So you could have a quarterback issue, then the Jaguars stink, you're picking top 3, and all of a sudden you love Garrett Nussmeier or Arch Manning if he goes out, and you're like, we kind of created a quarterback mess, but we love this guy. Let's just take him.
That was just going to ask you, is there a world where Shador balls? Let's just play let's continue that hypothetical. They go 4-4. Dylan Gabriel is an answer. Shador comes in. He keeps us in that playoff hunt. We just missed the playoffs with him.
No way they take a quarterback up there.
Are they taking a quarterback
Not
after?
a shot. No.
Like you said, though, hey, we love this guy. This is the guy we wanted all along. They do
if Stefanski's there, which if they're that record probably will be. Barry's there, probably will be. They're going to lean into another year of development. I would be utterly shocked if the Browns are solid and they're picking a top 3 with the Jaguars pick and they take a quarterback. I would be floored.
I couldn't even imagine what the city would feel like.
It'd be crazy. Well, one of those rookie quarterbacks would probably go. But we're going to finish up here talking about the preseason game that both rookie quarterbacks will actually be playing in this Saturday against the Rams. Up next on Honor the Land on Big Play Sports Network. Welcome back into Honor the Land on Big Play Sports Network. I am Max Loeb. He is Chef Zay. And we are 2 days away or a day away, depending on when you're seeing this, from the final preseason game. Los Angeles Rams at Cleveland Browns, 1 p.m. Eastern in downtown Cleveland. Zay, Shador Sanders seems like, barring a setback, will play. But you have thoughts on that. You pushed back a little bit when you heard the news.
I don't know why they want to see Shador. Like, I just feel like it's a PR. It could be a PR conundrum. Like,
it already is.
It already is. But let's just, we're playing hypotheticals, right? Last time we were playing hypothetical. Let's just say Dylan comes out and looks like second quarter Dylan again, and then Shador comes out and looks like Shador, like we saw. What are you doing on the depth chart? If you go into week 1, like, how distracting would it be if we go into week 1 and the depth chart comes out? Obviously, we know Joe Flacco's week 1, but we saw what we saw, and then we still see Shador as the third guy. Like, it's just a conversation that you don't really need to have right now. Like, I think it's one of those things where the season's kind of here now. We need to be looking towards that. Do you really want to get more Shador tape out there? Do you really? Unless you're trying to move. Like, I just think it's one of those things where you really don't want to play with that kind of fire right now. I mean, don't get me wrong. We're going to love it. I'm going to love it. It's anytime it says perfect on my time, I'm going to be locked in. But I think if you're the front office guys, you're a little nervous to see Shador come out here because you know.
Yeah, I think there's enough from the Eagles game where you want to see both of these guys play and not necessarily make a decision off the game because truthfully, I got a question here to ask you about moving up on depth. I don't think the depth chart is going to change regardless of how Shador plays. Like, it's just not going to happen. But I think there's enough in that Eagles game with Dylan Gabriel outside of that bad pick where you're like, okay, maybe there's something here. We need to see it more. And I honestly am very, very fascinated because it has not been the case this preseason where those guys who, again, are teammates, you don't want to tear a teammate down, but the reality is they're competing against each other. They have not had an opportunity to watch the other one play while they're also playing. They have not been in the fire where comparison is inevitable, and I assume it's going to be Dylan Gabriel starting. So Shador watches, let's say, the first half. He goes out in the second half and knows, I saw what I have to do. I can be motivated about whatever it may be. And then on the other side of the coin, Dylan Gabriel is playing in the first half with a chip on his shoulder saying, Shador's coming in the second half. I got to ball out now or else. I want to see each player operate in that situation 100%.
I want to see guys adjust. Like, that's... the big thing with Kevin Stefanski and his offense has never been the beginning of the game or the middle of the game. It's always been the end of the second quarter in the end of the fourth quarter. He can't make the adjustment, or he hasn't displayed that he can make the adjustments, especially when you're trailing. And I think that's when you talk about trying to evaluate these guys, I'm 100% with you where I want to see that, oh, he went out here, what can I do to capitalize? I got to put my best foot forward because I know he's behind me. But at that same time, like, it goes back to the Eagles game. You got a damn near flaw, like almost as perfect as you can get first quarter, and literally the complete opposite in the second quarter, and we don't get to see a response. So if Dylan does come out and play in that second or third quarter, and then he looks good and looks bad, we don't get to see how he's going to adjust out of that, because you're going to go right into Shador, and I think that's huge when you talk about the quarterback position. How do they respond off of a bad quarter? And we could have got to see that with Dylan, but we didn't.
We didn't, which was interesting. That was a weird little pull there. I don't know. That
a little damage control?
I don't know about I think it could be damage control. I more think I see that and I'm like, what do they think about Dylan Gabriel's ability to respond? It's either we're worried about it or we feel so confident in it we don't need to throw him out there.
Or it's like, damn, Shador didn't look this bad. We don't need any more. Like, I really think that this is. I'm telling you, I may sound crazy. I may be. You can call me a conspiracy theorist, but they want Dylan. They can't have Dylan be wrong. Like, they don't want to be wrong by.
They're doing everything they can to make sure that he's right.
Exactly.
Yes,
and him going back out. Could you imagine? Like, that's the thing that I think of. He comes back out and he didn't make the adjustment, or he didn't clean up the stuff that he saw in the second quarter. We're not talking about, well, he looked good. Like, what's the perception now? What is Dan Orlovsky saying now about that when you got two quarters, two bad quarters versus one good quarter?
It is a very fair question. Outside of the quarterbacks, though, anybody else you're watching while we finish up here in that preseason game?
Like I mentioned last week, our receiving room, it's corny, but like for Browns fans, it's much watched TV. The Gage LeVar and Caden Davis thing is so fun, and it's gonna be even more interesting, obviously, now knowing that Isaiah Bond pretty much took their spot. Like, he literally just came in and took their spot. So I'm gonna be anxious to see how much more motivated that these guys are gonna be. So that, and then could Amani Marshall get a lot more carries this game to maybe make this roster?
Yeah, there's questions.
Since they're looking for an RB?
They are looking. They have made calls. I don't know in what capacity, but they have made calls. I mean, Isaiah Bond is the one for sure that I'm looking at. And defensive starters out there, I'm just looking at the collective unit, how they're talking, flying the ball, all this good stuff. I know not all the starters will be out there. I'd be shocked if Myles Garrett played. But, like, you got to watch them. You got to watch them, how those guys communicate. Fascinating to see the linebacker room now. We don't really know 100% what it's going to look like.
There's only one middle linebacker according to ESPN's depth chart right now, and that is Carson Schlesinger.
Not Jerome Baker?
Jerome Baker is listed as the wide linebacker, or the West
linebacker?
Will, yeah. I said wide.
I don't know.
So they have Diabate, Jerome Baker, and then Easton Arnold, and then middle linebacker Carson Schlesinger and Nathaniel Watson. And then the other linebacker, Devin Bush, Winston Reed, and Titus Leo.
Well, we will see what happens. Any score predictions for us?
There is one guy that I am watching. Andre Schmidt.
Good call.
I mean, what are we talking about here? Like this, the temperature's hot in the kicking room. Dustin Hopkins' leash looks like it's a little short. He could be one extra point away from losing his job. 100%, so that's 100%. Definitely. That's something that we definitely need to be watching. Andre Smith came in, nailed both of his kicks, looked good. So hopefully, We'll
see. I'd be fascinated to see if the plug is pulled there. But we appreciate you guys watching and listening. We will see you next time after the preseason officially will be regular season on Honor the Land on Big Play Sports Network.